Hi, church. As we enter the Easter week, we're beginning a series of devotionals that we're calling Rescue and Resurrection. Each of our devotionals this week focus on the idea that God saves us and God is continually raising us up to new life through the resurrection of Jesus Christ. As you enter this Easter week, you're probably sticking pretty close to home, doing things a little bit differently than what you had imagined. You may find yourself thinking about all of the ideas that you had for this week or for this spring season, things you thought you would be doing and now you're not, trips that you had planned and now you're not taking. You may just be thinking about all of those different ways that life is nothing like what you imagined it would be at this time. That can be really frustrating, and I don't want to pretend that it's not frustrating or not hard, because it is. But I would also just suggest to you that there's a way that this can be sort of a good kind of frustrating. For me, over the last few years, the concept of what's called mortification has just been so helpful and so important in my own spiritual life. Mortification is just the process of dying to ourselves, dying to our own will, and dying and letting go of our own desires. It's a deeply Christian idea that has been around for a long time. Historically, Christians have believed that we had to die to ourselves, let go of our own ways, before God's new ways could grow in us. Now, when we talk about spiritual growth, we tend to just skip that second part about growing. And so our ideas about spiritual growth are typically talked about and phrased in more positive terms. We talk about sanctification or discipleship, spiritual growth. It's all about that forward progress. And that's definitely a part of it. But there really does seem to be a sense in which we have to let go of ourselves, let go of our own will and our own desires too. Do that before God's activity can really happen in our life. Paul, for example, in Romans chapter 8, verse 13, he talks about how if we live according to the flesh, then we're going to die. But if by the Spirit you put to death the deeds of the body, then you'll live. So it's that process of mortification, of letting go of our own selves, so that God's Spirit can work in us. So if there comes a time this week when you find yourself frustrated about what you're not doing that you wanted to be doing, or just frustrated that life did not take the shape that you wanted it to take in this season, I would just challenge you to think of it in a new way, to think of it maybe in those terms of mortification, and ask yourself, is there a way in this moment of frustration, that I can die to myself, to my own agenda, my own desires, my own preconceptions, and instead be really present in this moment that God has prepared for me, this moment that God has me in. And in this moment, after I've let go of my own agenda, is there a way that I can grow into this moment that God has for me and follow Christ in this moment in a special way? Ask yourself that question, and I think you'll find that it'll help you be aware of the ways that God rescues you and the ways that God is raising you up to new life this week.